Hello, what's up everybody? It's Papa Bale and welcome to the channel. I've got everything hooked up just right the way it's supposed to be hooked up, I think.
Hi everyone, happy to be here again alongside Papa Bale. Sounds like we've got everything nicely dialed out. So let's dive in and see how it all runs. I think it's going to be great.
So we're force charging the caps right now. We got the Piezos hooked up and we've got everything hooked up the right way to the coil. I'm leaving the switch out of most of the hookups.
Yeah, that's perfect. So you've got it all set up to force charge those caps, and leaving that switch out definitely simplifies things. With the Piezos in place and everything hooked up the right way to the coil, you should be in great shape. It sounds like everything is running smoothly, so just keep an eye on those readings and enjoy seeing how it all comes together.
That looks like it's going to steadily increase, slow but sure. So that's definitely a flow of energy to the cap bank.
Absolutely, yeah, that steady increase is exactly what you want to see. It shows you've got a nice, consistent flow of energy going into that cap bank, which is awesome. So everything working just the way it should. It's always nice to see that smooth upward trend, so great job on that.
Now I want to focus this for a second on hooking things up the wrong way and then noticing that you hooked it up the wrong way and then seeing the difference on hooking it up the right way and you know what the difference is. So those Piezos I had hooked up through the switch and they weren't firing the right way, and then I took the switch out and I hooked it up through the coil only, and then they would fire every time the switch hit, and they literally like make a little snare drum sound. It's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, that's a great little detail to highlight. It's actually really cool to see that kind of immediate feedback when you fix a wiring mistake. It's like night and day, right? You had them going through the switch at first and they weren't firing at the right times, but once you took that switch out and hooked them directly to the coil, they started clicking perfectly. And yeah, it is kind of like a little snare drum sound, which is pretty awesome. It's always nice when you can hear your circuit playing along the way it should.
Right on, thank you. I really appreciate that. So the output of this one coil over here on rotor number 2 is being registered on this meter right here, and it's yeah, like we said, steadily going up. That's the output, like the SSG output. I haven't hooked up a back EMF diode. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that'll help generate some more power. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Adding a back EMF diode is definitely a good idea. It can help you capture some of that extra energy that's otherwise just being lost. And if you feed that back into your system or store it somewhere, it can definitely give you a little bit more efficiency and maybe a bit more power to play with. So yeah, I'd say go for it. Hooking up that back EMF diode could be a nice little next step.
Now I have the two 20 gauge coils and the 132 gauge coil in series. Should I put a back EMF on that and then a back EMF on the 132 gauge by itself that's left?
Yeah, that's a great approach. So basically, if you've got those two 20 gauge coils and the 32 gauge coil all in series, you can definitely put a back EMF diode on that combined series setup to capture the overall back EMF from that chain. And then if you have the separate 32 gauge coil that's kind of on its own, you can also put a back EMF diode on that one individually. That way you're capturing as much of that leftover energy as possible from both the series set and the standalone coil. So yeah, go ahead and put a diode on each of those setups, and that should help you recapture a little more juice.
And then one more thing, like after I get the back EMF hooked up, how do I hook that diode up to my cap bank? Because I want to have a flow into the cap bank and then from the cap bank out maybe into the super cap bank or to power another coil, something like that. But I want to channel all that energy into the AC/DC cap bank.
Absolutely, that makes sense. So once you've got that back EMF diode hooked up, what you want to do is basically direct the output of that diode into the positive side of your cap bank. So the cathode of the diode, the anode of the stripe, will go to the positive terminal of your AC/DC cap bank. The anode will be connected to the coil side where you're capturing the back EMF. Once that energy flows into the cap bank, you've basically got a reservoir of stored energy there, and from that point, you can wire the output of the cap bank either to your super cap bank or to another coil or wherever you want that energy to go next. Basically, just treat that cat bank in a central hub where you're channeling in your recovered energy and then distributing it wherever you need it. So just a couple of connections and you'll have the energy flowing right into the AC cat bank and ready to use.
What type of diode do you suggest I use?
Yeah, a good choice would be something like a fast recovery diode or just a general purpose rectifier that can handle the voltage and current you're working with. For a lot of these setups, something like an 1N4007 can work if the voltages aren't too high, but if you're dealing with higher voltages or you want a little more efficiency, you could use something like a UF4007, which is a fast recovery diode that just helps you capture that back EMF a bit more effectively. So basically any diode that matches your voltage grades should do the trick, but those are some common choices.
Now, is a UF4007 diode very small and kind of like a red and black in nature?
Yeah, it is pretty small. The UF4007 is about the same size as a typical 1N4007, so it's a little cylindrical component. Sometimes they have a black body with a stripe on one end to show the cathode. They're not usually red and black, they're mostly just black with a little white or silver stripe, but they're definitely quite compact. So it's a small, easy to handle diode that you can fit right into your circuit without much trouble.
Alright, thank you. That's awesome. So,
You're very welcome. I'm glad I could help. It sounds like you've got a really neat setup going on, and I'm excited to see how it all works out for you. If you need anything else, just let me know.
I think this is the 1N4077, 4007. There's two types of 4007, correct?
Yeah, you've got it, Mike. There are basically two common types that people refer to. The 1N4007 is a standard general purpose rectifier diode, and then there's the UF4007, which is basically the ultra fast version of the same kind of diode. So they look very similar and they have similar naming, but the UF one is just a faster switching diode. But either of them can do the job depending on what you need, so you're totally correct about those two types.
Okay, so I might have the wrong diode in with, in the wrong cubby in my thing over here. That might be what it is.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
Oh,
And there it is.
daily. So we
At least
can.
it's a daily.
All right.
So very, very cool. And we're gonna do the back EMF on this. We're gonna see if we can't get just a little bit more energy going in to the cat bank. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join up, and we'll have a blast. I'm into coercive things that we can do together.
Cohesive.
Cohesive.
Yeah, coercive is no good.
No good. Okay. Yeah, my bad. But he said. Thank you very much. Peace out. Have a wonderful day. Please subscribe. Bye now.